Hello again, gamers. Welcome back for an episode of Grokking Battletech. I'm the board game captain, and today I'm going to be telling you how to grok the Gravedigger. So I want to give a big thank you to one of my regular viewers, Matthew Kelly, for requesting that I cover the Gravedigger in an episode of Grokking Battletech. He requested a few of these Dark Age mechs, and as I personally have never played the Dark Age, I really had a lot of fun researching the new weapons and tech from the Dark Age. And you know what? It's actually got me excited. I want to try out some more some Dark Age games. I want to play with some of these mechs and some of this tech, especially the Gravedigger itself, which is quite a good mech. So I'm going to be going through the two canon versions. I've got some custom versions that are designed by my own personal mech design firm, KIWF. I've got a recommended mech warrior and a recommended lance for my favorite of the canon versions of the Gravedigger. But before I get into it, I do want to say thank you, Matthew Kelly. This episode of Grokking Battletech is for you. Now, before we get to into this, I do want to say I've got a ton of links in the description down below that you can check out at your leisure. There's a link to BoardGameCaptain.com, which is a great hub for all things Board Game Captain. There's also a link to my Teespring store where you can get yourself some cool Board Game Captain merch, t-shirts, mugs, etc. And there's a link to my Patreon if you're in a position to and would like to support the channel. All right, so the Gravedigger. The Gravedigger is a 50-ton medium mech designed to be, from the basic version, kind of a decent speed, long-range crit seeker, if you will. But then they made a second version that can do armor piercing as well as crit seeking and is actually really good, is my favorite of the two versions. So let's get into them. So the first version of the Gravedigger is the DGR-1C. Now, this version of the Gravedigger, it's got 4/6 movement. It's made totally with Inner Sphere tech. This was done by a mech firm in the Ghost Bear Dominion. So this is obviously one that was predated the Ghost Bears taking over the Rassalag Republic. They were primarily working with Inner Sphere tech, and this mech has 25 armor in the center torso, full 9 on the head, 19 on the side torso, 16 on the arms, 24 on the legs, 7 and 5 on the rear torso sections respectively. It's got 4/6 movement and 10 double heat sinks, and then it is armed with an LRM-15, a rotary autocannon 5, and a large laser for a little bit of armor piercing. Now, at only 1,342 battle value, this is a very affordable, well-armed and armored, medium-range, kind of brawling mech. You could throw out those armor-piercing shots with the large laser, and you can do a lot of crit-seeking with the LRM-15 and the rotary autocannon 5. This is actually a really decently designed and affordable mech for the Dark Age. Yeah, I really like this one a lot. I don't have much bad to say about it, except that there is a lot of ammo in the right torso, and it has an extra light fusion engine. And I do have issues with that because if any of those ammos explode, granted there is a case 2 there, which will help most of the damage go out the rear torso, you will still cause 1 point of damage and possibly have another crit chance there, which could hit the extra light fusion engine. Plus, in addition to having the chance for that crit to hit the extra light fusion engine, there's also a chance for it to hit the other ammo bins, and there are 4 ammo bins in there. 2 for the rotary autocannon 5s and 2 for the LRM-15. So there's a lot of chances to have repeated explosions in there. So there are some minor issues with it, but you know what? Overall, the case 2 does help protect all of that ammo. And overall, I would say this is a very well-designed mech. I actually really like the basic version of the Gravedigger. But then they went and made an upgraded version. Now, there are some things about this upgraded version that are rather situational, and there's other things that are just fantastic. So here's the thing. So for the upgraded version, we are using mixed tech. There is some clan weapons in here. Of course, the clan weapons are going to be a big improvement. So the first thing we have is 11 double heat sinks. Now, it's still using Inner Sphere double heat sinks, not clan double heat sinks, so the extra ones do take up a bit extra room, but the addition of an extra double heatsink helps with some of the heatsinking capacity. We've still got essentially the exact same armor, so really good armor protection for a 50-ton mech. We've still got that 4/6 movement, but we replace all of the weapons. So first off is its primary weapon. We have a Clan ERPPC. Now, Clan ERPPCs are fantastic. This thing can hit up to 23 hexes away and do 15 damage. This is a significant upgrade for this mech's armor-piercing weapon from the standard Inner Sphere large laser to a Clan ERPPC. This is way better range, way better damage. Then to back that up, we have a Clan LB5X autocannon a Clan LRM-15, a Clan Active Probe, and an Angel ECM suite. So the Angel ECM suite, of course, is a big upgrade from the older ECM suites. This one has better range, so this can be a really good level of disruption for your enemies, cutting off Artemis 4s and cutting off C3 networks, which there are a lot more of in the Dark Age, a lot more mechs that are C3 capable by that time period. Now the Streak LRM-15 is fantastic for crit seeking. I'm not as fond of the LB5X autocannon. This, it's okay for crit seeking, but in reality, the weight-wise, it's heavier than it actually and then its capabilities. You don't really get what you pay for, in my opinion, but it's not bad, and the rest of the weapons on this are great. And then just as a little added bonus, you've got an active probe if you're playing a scenario where you need to use an active probe to find enemies that are hidden or hidden objects or whatever it might be. This is a situational thing that could be really useful, and it's why altogether this is my favorite version of the Gravedigger. Now also, as just a little side note, there are a lot more things in the right torso to take hits for you instead of the ammo bins. There's also 2 less ammo bins in that torso. Still has the case too, but there's only 1 ammo bin of the Streak LRM-15s, which can be a problem because you will only get 8 shots with them. And then there's 1 ammo bin of the LB5X autocannon, which gets 20 shots, so that's plenty of those cluster rounds. But the reduction in ammo there also makes it less vulnerable, along with having the Streak LRM-15 and a double heatsink there to help also possibly take hits for you. So overall, I think it also tends to reduce the chance of a lucky shot just getting in on your right torso and doing a crit once you've gotten through the armor there and doing really a massive amount of damage. Because it has halved the number of crit spots with ammo bins on the right torso. Okay, so I wanted to redesign each of these and make my own versions. So the first one I went with was the first version, the 1C. And I wanted to really focus in on its cluster hitting capabilities. I really wanted this thing to be able to improve its capabilities with cluster hitting while reducing its chance of blowing itself up. So my version, created by my own personal mech design firm, KIWF, named after the last initials of its 4 founding members, but affectionately nicknamed Kill It With Fire by its fans. Remember, don't just kill it with fire. They designed the Gravedigger GDR1C KIWF. So now we kept the same armor, but we did upgrade to ferrofibrous armor, so it took up less weight for the same amount of armor. And that also allowed us to drop the engine down from an extra life fusion engine to a regular fusion engine, making my version much more survivable. You no longer have the chance of being taken out of commission by losing a side torso. I kept the 10 double heat sinks, I kept the 4/6 movement, again the same number of armor, but I removed all of the weapons and replaced them with 2 rotary autocannon 5s and an ER small laser. Now I put the rotary autocannon 5s in each arm. Then I also put 2 bins of rotary cannon ammo in each arm, and I had to remove, of course, the case 2 protection from the side torso for this. The hope being that there's so many other spots in the arms that could be hit with crits that it will really reduce the chance of it hitting a rotary autocannon bin. Plus, with how if you're firing 5 shots around with the rotary autocannons, which is really how this is meant to be done, you're going to go through a bin of ammo in about 4 turns. So by the time you hit one, there's a good chance that one of the 2 bins will be empty by the time your enemy has pierced through you. Now, as a backup weapon, I do have an ER small laser. This is just if things get in really close, but the idea with this, with my version of the Gravedigger, is to be like a cheaper, lighter version of the version of the Rifleman with the twin rotary autocannons on a smaller, more compact chassis. And for a very affordable cost, because it's only 1,382 battle value. Taking off the case protection actually kept the cost down quite a bit. And I think this is actually a really decent version, believe it or not. I actually like it at least as much, if not better, than the cannon version. Though I will not be using it in my lance because I wanted a specific lance ability, so I had to use one of the cannon versions. Now, for my second custom version of the Gravedigger, I did a custom version of the mixed tech Gravedigger, the 1D. So this is the GDR 1D KIWF. So now, in this one, I did have to keep the extra light fusion engine. I wasn't able to get rid of that, but I was able, through some manipulation here, to be able to get a much better grouping of firepower on here. I also removed the active probe, which is rather situational in its use. This is meant to be a more general good mech for all occasions, rather than a mech that specifically has tonnage dedicated to certain scenarios. So what I did is, this is a really just a slight change. I kept the Clan ERPPC because it's amazing. I kept the Streak LRM-15 because it's amazing. I kept the Angel ECM Suite because I'm a big fan of it, but I removed the LB5X autocannon and I put in a second Streak LRM-15. I also was able to put in another ton of ammo for the Streak LRM-15, since now there are two of them. They still will only be able to fire for 8 turns if you're firing both of them, but you have 2 of them firing for 8 turns, and that can be a lot more crit-seeking damage. I do think this is a slightly better version than the cannon version. Of course, you will pay for it in battle value, because this goes up to 1,937 battle value versus the original 1,707. So it is a couple hundred battle value more expensive. But I do really like it. I think it is really good, and I think you're getting what you pay for with this. Twin Streak LRM-15s are great. I really wish I could have fit in another ton of ammo for the Streak LRM-15s and kept the case too, but I couldn't find another place to really reduce a ton unless I wanted to remove maybe the Angel ECM Suite, which I kind of liked. I kind of liked having it there, so I kept it. But for a single game where 8 turns is really what kind of decides the game, this is not bad. And even if this runs out of ammo with its twin Streak LRM-15s, you've still got that ERPPC to fire away with, and that is really good also, so it's nothing to sneeze at. Now, next I want to tell you what mech warrior I would recommend to put in the Gravedigger DGR1D, which is my favorite cannon version of the Gravedigger, with its mixed tech Clan ERPPC and Streak LRM-15, which is just really awesome. I do love those weapons. So I've decided I would put in Amiku Kalu. Now, Amiku Kalu is a 5-cost mech warrior. You're going to use him when agreeing to play with 5-cost mech warriors with your opponent. He has a gunnery skill of 2, which is going to make those weapons incredibly accurate, and a piloting skill of 4. And for his abilities, he has Multitasker and Tactical Genius. So for Tactical Genius, this gets you a reroll on initiative every round, which is awesome, being able to really be able to watch where your opponents go before you choose where your units go on many turns, more than normal, is awesome. And then with Multitasker, it allows you to split fire in the front without any extra modifiers, and you're going to try to keep your enemies in the front, and sometimes you're going to want to be armor piercing on one guy and throwing the cluster weapons on another guy who's already lost tons of ammo, and being able to do that without any extra difficulty modifier is going to be really awesome. So you can throw the Streak LRM-15 and the LB5X at one guy who's almost out of ammo, almost out of armor, I should say, and you're going to be able to throw the ERPPC at the bigger mech who's now just come into view, for a random chance to pierce its armor and possibly headcap it. So yeah, I think this is a great mech warrior for the Gravedigger 1D. Now, what lance did I make for the Gravedigger 1D? I made a 6,000 battle value Dark Age era lance. This is specifically Dark Age era. I wanted to of course make everything from the era that this mech is from, and I chose to make it a Dark Age era fire lance. Now the thing is, the lance building rules from the Clan Invasion box set here in its book, some of the lances are harder to build for than others, and I feel the fire lance ability was going to give huge improvements to the Gravedigger and other mechs I wanted to put in it, but it is a bit restrictive, so I had to use the cannon version, which counts as a sniper. See, the thing is, the requirements are at least 75% of this formation must be either missile boats or snipers. So I have 3 snipers in this formation and 1 mech that is something else. Now, the bonus ability is that at the beginning of each turn, up to 2 units may use the sniper ability, which halves the difficulty from range, which means they only get +1 difficulty in medium range, only +2 at long range. Now, the Gravedigger is almost certainly going to be one of the 2 mechs to get that ability every turn, and then I have a second mech that you'll see in a moment that is really going to be the one you want to take that ability with. So again, the first mech in the Lance is the DGR-1D with its Clan ER-PPC, its Clan LB-5X autocannon, its Streak LRM-15, its Angel ECM suite, and its active probe, which of course, again, situationally be a really good thing to have for certain scenarios. Now, the second mech in the Lance is actually the biggest mech in the Lance, and this is one that you're going to also want to be giving a sniper ability to. This is the Pillager PLG-5Z. So this is a Jihad era refit of the Pillager. This thing has a ludicrous amount of armor, 52 on the center torso, 32 on the sides, 34 on the arms, 42 on the legs, and 10 on every rear torso section respectively. It has 10 double heat sinks, but don't worry, it's actually quite heat efficient. It's got 3-5 movement, but, and this is just kind of amusing to me, they gave this thing triple strength Mimir just in case when some stuff is getting close, you want to heat it up and walk in and kick someone for 40 damage, or punch them for 20 damage each, which is pretty freaking crazy that you could do that. Now, for the weapon loadout on this thing, we have another ECM suite. So actually with the 2 of them on, your opponent C3 networks should be completely broken up. We have 2 Gauss rifles, 1 ER-PPC, and 2 ER medium lasers. So this thing has a ludicrous amount of long-range armor-piercing weapons with the 2 Gauss rifles and the ER-PPC. It's going to do a lot of damage at long range. It's got a little bit of crit seeking with the ER medium lasers, and then again, it has the capability to heat itself up and do physical attacks for ludicrous damage if something tries to get too close to it. All around, this thing is probably going to be a big target, which will keep your Gravedigger alive, because seeing this, your opponent's going to try to concentrate fire on it. Be careful with it, keep it at a distance, park it in some heavy forest, park it behind a hill, somewhere it's going to be able to ignore some of those hits and hopefully not take too much damage. This is also definitely going to be the mech that you want to take the stat boost from your opponent's from your opponent's mech warrior on, because getting this mech with improved gunnery and piloting skill is going to be amazing. Now, the third of the sniper mechs is the urban mech UMR69. So now this is a tiny, dirt cheap, 589 battle value, little 30-ton mech. It's got 10 single heat sinks. It's got tissue paper for armor with 11 in the center torso, 9 on the sides, 9 on the arms, 12 on the legs, 3 on the rear torso sections respectively. It's got 2-3-2 movement like most urban mechs, not all, but most. And then it's got a ultra autocannon 10, which is actually pretty decent, a small pulse laser, and an ER small laser. So the idea with this thing is hopefully it's going to be overlooked and it's going to be firing out full auto ultra cannon 10 shots from the safety of a forest behind a hill or something like that, and be goading your opponent into coming closer to you. Since most of these Lance is meant to stay back and shoot at your enemy and get them to come to you, it's not so bad that its movement is so crappy. Now, if your opponent ever concentrates fire on it, it's probably going to disappear, so be careful. Do something like put it in a forest behind a hill or both, to keep it alive. But overall, it is also a very expendable mech with only 10 rounds of ammo for that ultra autocannon 10. It's going to run out of ammo for its main weapon pretty quickly. So if when getting close to the end of its ammo, if it's starting to draw fire, it's actually pulling double duty in: 1, having disrupted your enemy enough for him to fire at the urban mech, and 2, drawn fire away from your bigger mechs that you really want to keep alive around the time when it's at the end of its usefulness anyway. Now, as a final mech in this Lance, we have the Wolfen C. So this is a very interesting 30-ton light mech. This mech is crazy maneuverable at 10, 15, 10 movement. We've got 11 double heat sinks. We've got 15 armor in the center torso, full 9 on the head, 10 on the arms, 10 on the side torsos, 14 on the legs, and 5 and 4 on the rear torso sections, respectively. Now, this speedy mech is armed with 3 ER medium lasers, another ECM suite, again, just making sure that nothing that your opponent has in electronics is going to work anywhere on the battlefield, because this thing is going to run up point blank and use its targeting computer to use the 3R medium lasers to directly target areas that have had holes punched in them by your 2 huge mechs. Yeah, so that's what this mech is for. Also, being able to occasionally run in behind your opponent and shoot out parts of the rear armor would be good, especially for just distracting them and causing disruption in enemy lines. So there you have it. That is my lance for the Gravedigger. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought of my lance and my choices in this episode. Let me know in the comments down below what mech I should cover in my next episode of Grokking Battletech. And if you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to see me do more like it, be sure to give it a like, share it on all forms of social media, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Board Game Captain. That's Captain spelled with a K on YouTube. And until next time, game on.